Hi, welcome to Module 4 of Paid Social. We are talking about Boosted Content 101, even though we're sort of beyond the 101, but let's talk about some of the best practices here. So we want to try and link most content back to our site. This is because our website, of course, should be the final destination of where we want to send people. And if we don't feel really good about our site and how clear and concise and powerful it is, we need to go and revisit that before we start throwing money at it. Because you can have the best ads and promoted posts in the world and put, hard-earned money behind them. And if your goal is to get people to click on them and take action and get to your website, but once they get there, they don't know what to do or they don't do what you hope they'll do, then you're wasting your paid budget. So really knowing that you feel good about and you've mapped out that journey and that it makes sense to any and everyone when they get there, and then linking most of the content you're creating. That means every post that you can has some kind of call to action and link back to your site. Then that is where we want to be. And that it falls into one of those two categories, every single post. And that is either brand awareness, which could link to your site, or direct response, which could link to your site. And they're doing something when they get there. So on that same vein, we want to avoid linking to other sites. This would be the articles that you post that link back to Newsweek or the Globe and Mail or people.com or any kind of stat or study or research paper or whatever it is that shows that, sure, you're part of the conversation, you're in the game and you're posting relevant content to your industry or to something newsworthy, but you're not sending me off to some other site because the Globe and Mail does not need more traffic. You do. And the best thing here, Content 101, is if we create our own iteration or version of that trending news or of that story or research paper or newest stat and study, we create a 3 to 10 paragraph blog, but could be as short as a few sentences. And it's got a place to live on our website. It's generating great SEO value for us. And best of all, it gives us an original social post to create that sends someone to our site to learn more or to read more. So repurposing it wherever we can and avoiding like crazy, especially because we are boosting most of our posts. And the last thing you want to do is pay to drive someone to someone else's website. So this is where we want to put money behind every single post if we can. It's not hard if that's what we've decided we're going to do. It should take a few seconds, especially if we're using Facebook Creator Studio, where we schedule our posts. And then when we say schedule, we also say pre-boost. And we put $5 behind or $50 behind each post so that the moment it hits the algorithm and goes live, it's got that added money and Facebook says, whoa, we got to get this one seen. We got to spend this money. We only have this amount of time. We've got to get it out there. And they're going to give you massive preference in the news feed, of course. So working backwards, we have to understand who we want to reach, as I mentioned, before we go creating that content. And remember, it's organic posts and paid posts. Same. So knowing who the target audience is, knowing what they need and understanding their pain points and desires and how you can fill and fix those, and then crafting your content accordingly, knowing exactly who it's going to be served up to is the number one way to, reverse engineer your success. Thinking about who this is for, writing it, creating it accordingly, and then boosting it to those exact people so that they see it. We want to look at our insights and know the right days and time to post. This is the data that we have access to within the insights side of any social media platform, in particular, Facebook Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram. And we want to, of course, reach people when they're online, not just when we are. And if they're online at 7 a.m., but that's when you're doing your daycare drop-off or your morning routine, you need to find a way to schedule that content to go out at that time, of course, to reach people when you're online, when they're there. However, we also want to, again, experiment with those wee hours, those dark hours when there's less competition. There's less traffic on the highway at 2 a.m. in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan with your content, and yet there's enough people that you may have some success. The highway's empty. I'm going to put my content out there. It's going to get great reach for the few people that are online at that time, especially if it's to a broader audience where there might be lots of people online at that time, not just in that little town or region that you're in. And then if it performs well organically right away, then of course, once again, you're going to have a greater overall reach because it started off well. I know of people who are, content junkies and influencers or businesses that if they post something and it doesn't perform well right away, and I'm mostly speaking of organically, but paid too, they'll pull it. They'll pull it down and repost it a few hours later and try again because it is so important that 1 in 20 monthly posts, quality over quantity, lots of strategy behind it, that it gets seen. And maybe they don't want to force it into people's news feeds. They want to just see how it does on its own first. But either way, we want the best results we can. And it really does make a difference when you're posting on what day, what time, and playing with that a little bit on an ongoing basis. As I mentioned, we want to pre-boost our scheduled posts. I can't say this enough. This is where Facebook Content Studio allows us to do it. And it makes sense. If you're going to go back after the fact and boost it, that's okay. But imagine if you had boosted it right off the hop so that the moment it was fresh and published, it got that added boost and it reached as many people as possible. So there's 2 ways to boost our posts. And we're going to look at both of them as well as have a demo video after this one that'll walk you through it in real time. So the short boost, aka the lazy boost, we like to call it, or sometimes the front end boost, is done through those multitudes of blue buttons that you'll see right from your page. And you'll get these in your mobile device when you're on your page. You'll get them in the blue screen if you're managing your page from there. And you'll get them all throughout Business Suite if you're managing your page there. And what is the benefit here? Well, let me just move my head and we can see. We've got easy, quick, foolproof, and fast results. There is, nothing as easy as pushing boost, choosing your audience, choosing your budget and duration, and then setting it free. The problem, however, or what we've seen as a con, the downside, is that often we have lesser insights, so not as much data after the fact because it wasn't done through the long way, aka Ads Manager. We also have sometimes lesser results. What we have found is that you get quicker results with the lazy front boost, the short boost, but lesser overall reach. So you might have it hit the algorithm faster and get results in the first hour, but you're not going to have that same long game as you would if you created it in Ads Manager. So we're going to basically boost our post, choose our audience, and then publish it, and you're off and running with a so-called ad. The second way to short boost a post is to go into posts and stories. There's a few different places you can access your posts within Business Suite. And in this view, we can see right there, we're prompted to, again, boost post right then and there. So the same type of screen comes up and we get the same type of opportunity to boost it to whatever audience we want, as you'll see in the video. The second way to boost a post is what we call the long boost, the back end, more robust way to promote our content. And we do this from within Ads Manager. So we go into Ads Manager, we choose Create Campaign, and when it asks us what our objective is, we say engagement. So we're basically saying, I want to create an ad campaign where my goal is engagement, and it's going to be around driving engagement on this particular post. Not all my posts, but this individual post. So yes, it takes a little longer, but it doesn't have to be, it can be really fast if you're doing it regularly. And if you create one campaign and then you have several engagement posts within it, that's another way to go about it. So the long boost is I name that campaign accordingly. As you'll see in the video, I again choose my audience. I get to dictate a few other parameters that I didn't in the short boost, and then it'll walk me through publishing that post. I can also declare, as one of those additional things that I have control over, where I want it to appear, which is unique. And then I'll see it show up in my Ads Manager as not just a boosted post, but as a campaign that I've named. All right, go ahead and watch that video if you're ready, and then I will see you in promoted content in other places, aka Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Twitter, where we'll see what's possible in those, we call them secondary promoted content platforms. For you, who knows? They might be your primaries, but let's talk about it, and we'll see you there.